What was that? What was that?
Do you know that I've recorded?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, actually did.
Like a low...
According to the individual who uploaded the footage, the driver failed to notice the massive figure at first because his focus was locked on the burn pile rather than his surroundings. It wasn't until later, while reviewing the dashcam recording, that he noticed it. A large, dark, fur-covered figure standing upright behind a shed, blending almost seamlessly into the nearby tree line. To help viewers get a clearer look, the uploader slowed the video down. The figure, clearly rising above the shed, is estimated to be at least 8 feet tall, considering the shed itself stands roughly 6 feet high. On closer inspection, the fur appears deep black across most of the body, gradually transitioning into a lighter brown tone around the midsection. One of the most striking aspects of the footage is how completely motionless the figure remains, as if deliberately attempting to blend in and avoid detection. While this strategy seemed effective in real time, the dashcam still managed to capture its silhouette. The low frame rate prevents the image from being perfectly sharp, yet the footage continues to intrigue many viewers. The exact filming location was never officially disclosed, though many believe it was recorded somewhere in a remote region of Canada. This leaves one lingering question. Is this an authentic glimpse of Bigfoot, or simply another carefully staged hoax? Share your thoughts below. The Voyager Overland YouTube channel is centered on the adventurous side of Jeep travel, featuring off-road routes, camping trips, and outdoor exploration. Their videos showcase scenic drives, striking natural views, and the campsites they come across along their journeys. Earlier this summer, the channel's creator set out on a family trip with his wife, his grandfather, and his grandchildren to the Ruby Falls Mountains in Alberta.
When I asked them where they wanted to go, they both said the same thing. They said, Ruby Falls! So I guess that's where we're heading.
When the group discussed where to travel, everyone agreed on the same destination, Ruby Falls, and that became the plan. After arriving, they chose a suitable location, parked the vehicle, set up a modest camp, and spent time taking in the waterfall before continuing on to another nearby spot, where they settled in once again. At this second location, the creator placed a trail camera close to their campsite, hoping to capture footage of local wildlife. Instead, the camera recorded something far more disturbing. In the nighttime footage, a humanoid figure can be seen moving through the campsite. The figure appears to walk in a natural manner, occasionally pausing as though surveying the area. What makes the recording particularly strange is that at certain moments the figure seems partially transparent, possibly the result of motion blur, limited infrared lighting, or a combination of both. An individual experienced with trail cameras used in Bigfoot research commented that they had never encountered footage quite like this before. To examine it more closely, filters were applied to increase brightness, and the image was enlarged by 150%. Even after enhancement, the figure remained unusual and difficult to explain. Incidents like this are incredibly rare, serving as a reminder that unexpected experiences can happen to anyone who spends time deep in the wilderness. A property owner began noticing disturbing sounds coming from outside, and later found a series of unusual footprints spread across the land. Growing uneasy.
All right, we're now in the southwestern corner of the property. Allegedly, this is where the guy said he had the most activity. That remains to be seen. A little spooky, I guess. It's mostly just quiet. Apparently they're building a subdivision over that way. Huh. Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
They reached out to have the area examined more thoroughly. The investigation focused on the southwestern section of the property, where odd activity had reportedly occurred before. At first, the scene felt calm, almost unnaturally quiet, with nothing immediately out of place, aside from nearby construction tied to a developing subdivision. Then, suddenly, something changed. Emerging from the trees, a massive figure came into view. It appeared tall and wide, its body covered in dark hair, with glowing red eyes fixed directly on the observer. The sight was jarring, unlike anything one would expect to encounter on private land. This leaves a lingering question. Was the footage intentionally staged to attract attention online, or did the camera truly capture something unexplained moving across the property? On September 2, 2023, Finn Brenton and a friend chose to spend the night in Freetown State Forest in Massachusetts, an area long surrounded by dark folklore and rumors of occult activity. Since overnight camping was not allowed, they discreetly pitched their tent out of sight. Once night fell, unsettling sounds began carrying through the forest. The noises slowly drew nearer, and fear kept them trapped inside the tent, unable to rest. By morning, they hoped daylight would ease the tension, but the strange sounds continued, becoming even more disturbing.
What is making that sound?
It sounds like a part. Okay, it got a little bit creepier because now we have this on top, so you really cannot see out of the tent. Bro, why does it sound like someone is crying? I'm out. I don't know what to do because I'm not doing that.
What began as unease quickly escalated into sheer terror. The forest felt alive, filled with cries and unexplainable noises that left them paralyzed with fear. Curiosity gave way to panic. They hastily packed up, abandoned the campsite, and left the forest behind, determined never to return. What truly lurked in the woods that night remains unknown, but the experience left them deeply shaken, convinced that something unexplainable hides within that forest. While hiking near Duffield, Virginia, a Reddit user discovered a strange footprint carved into solid rock, estimated to be 12 to 14 inches long, unusually large and oddly shaped, with no other tracks nearby, just a single massive impression etched into stone. In March, a woman living near Red Gut Bay in Ontario noticed something unusual moving through the forest behind her home. The area is remote, making anything out of the ordinary stand out immediately. She quickly took out her phone and started recording. When the footage was later examined by the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch team, they stabilized the video and brought the figure into clearer view, revealing a tall, dark form with one arm that appeared noticeably longer than normal. Residents familiar with previous reports in the area were quick to suggest the figure might be Bigfoot. Wanting to avoid attention, the woman decided to remain anonymous. A video surfaced on Facebook, said to capture a possible Bigfoot sighting during a camping trip in Alaska's boreal forest. In the clip, the person filming stays low and out of sight while recording a large, dark figure moving in the distance. The figure only appears for a few seconds before disappearing back into the trees, leaving behind more questions than answers. This trail camera footage from Washington State, dated December 25, 2009, shows a large dark figure kneeling near a campsite where food had been left out to attract Sasquatch, displaying an unusual posture with a low head, no visible neck, a massive body, and broad, human-like shoulders, along with a distinct groove running down the center of its back, something not seen on bears, raising the question of who or what was sitting beside that picnic table. While collecting firewood, a man suddenly heard heavy footsteps nearby. Alarmed, he quickly hid behind a tree and remained still, waiting to see what might appear. Moments later, he managed to record a massive figure moving just a short distance away.
Серега, что это? Серега, да ну, Серега. Серега, ну.
Its motion looked human, yet its size was far beyond anything that could reasonably be considered a person. The witness later said it was the most terrifying moment of his life, convinced that what he encountered was far from ordinary. This unsettling footage was recorded by Igor, a man living deep within the remote forests of Siberia, Russia. His cabin, surrounded by endless wilderness, is usually filled with familiar nighttime sounds. Recently, however, he had begun hearing something entirely different, harsh, guttural noises coming from the trees nearby. Although Igor was accustomed to the normal calls of wildlife, these sounds were unlike anything he had encountered before. On this particular night, the noises returned, louder and more persistent than ever. Wanting to find their source, he grabbed his night vision camera and stepped outside into the darkness. What he recorded would unsettle anyone. Just beyond the tree line, a shadowy figure appeared, watching from the cover of night. At one point, it seemed to lower itself into the grass, its attention fixed on him, as if it could see clearly without any light. When the figure appeared to move closer, Igor backed away and returned to the safety of his cabin. To this day, the incident has never been explained, leaving behind only questions about what was truly moving through the forest outside his home. A hiker traveled deep into the forest while recording his experience on camera, later uploading the footage to a channel known as Bigfoot King. From the start, his discomfort was evident, as if he sensed something concealed among the trees.
Where are you? Straight up front. Straight up front, right? Straight up front.
At one moment, he focused on what appeared to be a normal tree trunk. Then it moved, followed by the sharp crack of a breaking branch. Panic set in, causing the camera to shake. He attempted to steady the shot for a better view, but the figure was already slipping back into the thick brush. The sheer size and presence of what he saw left little doubt in his mind. Shaken and afraid, the hiker chose to leave the forest, convinced it was no longer safe to stay. A set of enormous footprints caught his attention. Unlike any animal tracks he had ever seen before, the sheer size of the impressions made him stop and stare, trying to understand what could have created them. One print in particular stood out clearly, massive and almost human in shape, yet far too large to belong to any person. In March 2025, a group driving along a remote roadway noticed something unusual far ahead in the distance. From inside the vehicle, they pulled out a phone and started recording.
¿Qué vas a comentar, Iván?
Ahí hay un gigante allá arriba en el cerro.
¿Qué?
Un güey muy alto, gigante, cabrón.
A la verga, sí es cierto, güey. Ya lo vi. Neta.
The footage shows a massive figure standing on a ridgeline, towering in a way that seemed far too large to be an ordinary person. The short clip quickly circulated online, igniting widespread debate. Some viewers claimed it was evidence of Bigfoot or even a real-life giant, while skeptics argued it could be nothing more than a visual illusion, a trick of perspective, or edited footage. Regardless of the explanation, the sighting continues to stir speculation, leaving people divided over whether the camera truly captured something out of the ordinary. Earlier this year, a video began circulating online showing a camping hobbyist who had set up his tent deep in the woods on land he owned. The exact location was never disclosed, though reports suggest he lives somewhere in the northern United States. He had installed a trail camera on a nearby tree to keep an eye on the area whenever he wasn't around. For a long time, the recordings showed nothing unusual, mostly deer and other small wildlife passing through. Then one day, the camera captured something completely unexpected, leaving both the camper and online viewers stunned. The footage appears to show a large, dark, ape-like figure lifting and dropping a heavy tree limb directly onto the tent. When the image is enlarged, the figure seems covered in long dark hair, with broad shoulders, and a head far larger than a human's. Given that the tent likely stands 4 to 5 feet tall, the creature's height is estimated at roughly 8 to 9 feet. Some believe the clip ends abruptly due to the trail camera's motion sensor or limited memory. Still, the moment is hard to ignore. As for the aggressive behavior, many suspect the campsite was unknowingly set up within Bigfoot territory. Since then, the man has reportedly relocated his camp deeper into the forest to avoid another encounter. On a cold evening, a man set out to explore an abandoned railway siding deep in the Appalachian Mountains. He took several photos of the rusted tracks, long since swallowed by ivy and dense brush. Nothing seemed unusual at the time, but later, while reviewing the images, he noticed a solitary figure standing among the trees, a presence he was certain hadn't been there when the photos were taken. He recalled seeing no one else in the area. Was it merely a shadow shaped by fading light, or something far more unsettling hidden in the mountains? Adam, the creator of the YouTube channel Adventures, traveled with several friends to a secluded forest near the Welsh border, believing it would be an ideal location to watch a horror film outdoors. The forest already had a long-standing reputation for being haunted. While they were setting up,
What was that?
What was that?
Do you know that I've recorded?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I actually did.
Like a low... Was it?
a strange and unexplained sound echoed through the trees, immediately unsettling the group. They searched for the source but couldn't determine where it came from. Eventually, they dismissed it and continued with the movie. But as the night progressed, the atmosphere became increasingly tense.
Hey, Mom? Dad?
Oslo, where's it?
Mom?
What are you looking at?
Someone's hasty here. Don't move.
He's just literally there staring into the blackness.
What is it?
Where's it, Oslo?
Oslo, it's okay. Get him.
Their dog, Oslo, suddenly fixated on the darkness, staring at something that couldn't be seen. Despite attempts to get his attention, he remained unresponsive. Moments later, the mood shifted sharply, and without any warning, the camera shut off. Alarmed, they quickly gathered their belongings and left the forest. Later, while reviewing the footage, Adam noticed something disturbing in the final frame before it ended. A sudden blast of cold air rushing directly toward the camera, kicking up dust and debris across the image. It appeared unnatural, like a force moving straight at the lens. After that night, Adam became convinced the forest was anything but normal. Whatever had been present left him certain of one thing: they would never return to watch a horror movie in those woods again. The explorer returned to Southway's footpath, an area that had recently gained attention due to multiple reported assaults. Despite warnings about the risks, he chose to walk the trail after dark. Not long into the walk, he noticed a hooded figure standing perfectly still further down the path.
Do you see what I mean? God damn it. There's just a guy hanging up down here with his hood up. Don't really want to instigate trouble, so I put my camera down. Didn't want to, you know. How strange. So we've literally just come down here out of a random night to see what's it all about. And already we've come across a person that's stood down here with their hood up. There's glass all on the floor down here. We walked down to the park. I actually grew up down here. How it's become this bad, I don't know. Yeah, so there's the old orange light. Massive dark spot. If you look up there, it's like daylight, look. We've always had one guy looking at, look, he's just over there, look. What's he doing? There's a guy just stood there with his hood up at the bottom of the footpath. Look, you see him?
It made no movement and produced no sound. He lowered his camera, choosing not to draw attention to himself. The atmosphere felt tense as he reflected on how they had come out on an ordinary night to observe the area, only to be met almost immediately by someone silently standing in the shadows. The trail was overgrown with grass and weakly illuminated by a single orange streetlight, which cast long, distorted shadows across the park.
Look, the same fucking guys are down here. Holy shit. Oh my god. He's down there. Fuck this shit. Okay, he seems to have disappeared. This is probably a fucking stupid idea.
Having grown up nearby, he struggled to understand how much the place seemed to have changed. Looking down the path again, he saw the figure still standing in the exact same spot. Uneasy, he decided it was best to turn around. The following night, driven by curiosity, he returned to determine whether what he had seen was real. To his shock, the figure was there once more, silent and unmoving in the same location. The realization that this was not a coincidence intensified his fear. Moments later, the figure disappeared into the darkness. Convinced that whoever had been there meant harm, he left the area immediately. This time, he did not return to Southway's footpath, believing that whatever he encountered in the shadows was not something he wanted to confront again. This account describes a possible Bigfoot encounter recorded by a solo hiker. After spending hours walking through a remote stretch of wilderness, he entered an area thick with tall pine trees, where visibility dropped sharply, and the forest felt closed in on all sides. Suddenly, he heard heavy movement coming from beyond the tree line. Assuming it was a large animal, he pulled out his phone and began filming. What appeared in the footage, however, was far more unsettling. A massive figure walking upright as it moved past the trees. Many viewers quickly labeled it Bigfoot, though the figure didn't match typical descriptions. Its arms appeared unusually long, reaching close to its feet, while its body looked slimmer and more hunched than expected. Based on its proportions, the figure was estimated to stand close to 10 feet tall. So, what do you think this lone hiker actually captured in the forest? While walking a narrow trail in the Appalachian Mountains, a Reddit user snapped a quick photo to show how far behind their partner had fallen. It was meant to be a harmless, everyday picture. Nothing seemed unusual at the time. Later, while reviewing the image, they noticed something unsettling. A figure appeared farther up the trail, clearly shaped like a person. Their partner swore no one had been ahead of them, and the photographer didn't recall seeing anyone either. Light reflected off the figure's hair and arm, giving it a solid, lifelike appearance. Yet at that moment, the trail had supposedly been empty. To this day, they still can't explain who or what showed up in that photo. A photo recently surfaced online that was allegedly captured by a vehicle's dash camera at approximately 1:10 a.m. in Anaheim Hills, California, within a quiet suburban neighborhood. The image appears to show a dark, fur-covered figure with both human-like and ape-like features. Unlike gorillas or other apes, which typically lean forward while moving, this figure stands fully upright, prompting some to argue it may not be a known primate, but rather a possible Sasquatch. Sasquatch, often referred to as Bigfoot, is a legendary creature reported throughout many parts of the United States. Despite decades of sightings, it has never been officially confirmed by the scientific community. Still, the volume of photos, videos, and eyewitness reports has convinced many that the creature could exist. Bigfoot is believed to be extremely elusive, rarely allowing itself to be seen. That makes this image especially puzzling. Why would such a creature appear in a calm residential area of California? This leaves one lingering question. Was this an intentional hoax, or could it be authentic evidence caught by chance? A climate reporter from Wisconsin disappeared while hiking solo in Norway's Follafana National Park. Alec Lunn, a seasoned outdoorsman, had fallen from a steep cliff and suffered a fractured femur. When he failed to board his scheduled flight home, concern grew quickly, and his wife reported him missing. For 6 days, relentless storms and harsh weather conditions made it impossible for rescue teams to access the remote area. Eventually, a helicopter crew scanning the wilderness spotted a small red object far below. It was Alec. His family later shared their shock and relief, admitting they had almost lost hope after days without news and worsening conditions. Against overwhelming odds, rescuers reached Alec alive nearly a week after the accident. His survival was widely described as extraordinary, a powerful testament to human resilience, determination, and an incredible stroke of luck. In June 2023, a mother and her daughter were strolling along a wooded trail they had walked many times before without incident. Nothing about the day seemed unusual until everything changed. As they moved through the quiet forest, something enormous suddenly appeared nearby, breaking the calm without warning. The figure stood just off the path, partially concealed by thick vegetation. Alarmed, The mother quickly urged her daughter to get inside. Once the creature realized it had been noticed, it turned and rushed away into the trees. Despite the fear of the moment, the mother managed to record a relatively clear video, zooming in as the figure retreated. The being appeared covered in dense, brown-toned hair, with only its hands and face exposed. The face, in particular, looked unsettlingly human. After the clip circulated online, debate quickly followed. Skeptics suggested it could be someone in a costume, noting the uniform look of the hair. Others pushed back, pointing out the figure's apparent height, estimated around 8 feet, and its broad, powerful build, which seemed difficult to fake. Some proposed it was an elaborate prop or staged encounter. Still, no definitive answer has emerged, leaving the incident unresolved and deeply unsettling. A lone hiker was traveling through the Appalachian woods late at night when something unusual suddenly drew his attention. From the darkness, a pale face with 2 glowing eyes seemed to be staring straight at him. He stopped instantly, unsure if what he was seeing was an animal, a cryptid, or something even more unsettling. Near the edge of the frame, 2 more sets of glowing eyes briefly appeared, flickering for just a moment before disappearing. They were never clearly recorded. Whatever it was remained concealed in the shadows, silent, unmoving, and watching from within the trees. In Florida, a well-known Bigfoot investigator began receiving repeated phone calls and emails from an unidentified individual. Over time, the man sent several photographs he claimed showed Bigfoot, stating they were taken close by and repeatedly pushing for an in-person meeting to discuss them. Yet, each time a meeting was scheduled, the man backed out, canceling 4 separate times. As doubts grew, the researcher took a closer look at the images. That's when a familiar detail stood out. Years earlier, during a book signing in his home state, someone wearing a Bigfoot costume had disrupted the event. Upon closer inspection, the outfit seen in the photos appeared identical to that same costume. With that realization, the investigator concluded the contact had never been genuine, believing the entire exchange was an attempt to mock him from the start. On July 27, 2025, Adam and Ryan of Paranormal Essex traveled deep into the Appalachian Mountains to investigate a long-abandoned World War I-era lookout post. Local stories claim the site is haunted by the spirit of a soldier believed to protect it from something far more sinister. While preparing their daytime filming gear, Adam slipped behind a stone wall covered in moss, planning to startle Ryan. As he moved, the crunch of dry leaves echoed along the narrow mountain path. Suddenly, another set of footsteps sounded nearby.
Hey! Where'd he go? What? Ryan? Ryan? Fuck off! No way! Where was you? No fucking way.
They stopped right beside him, but no one was there. Later, Adam caught sight of Ryan far down the slope.
Slow, controlled, and far too close to ignore, Adam stopped cold. The footsteps halted right beside him, yet no one was visible. Seconds later, he saw Ryan much farther down the hillside, nowhere near the outpost. With the ground layered in brittle leaves and twigs, silent movement would have been impossible. That's when it became clear. Whatever had been walking next to him wasn't human. Shaken, both men left the area, questioning whether they had encountered the restless soldier rumored to still roam those mountains. In 2023, a hiker traveling off established trails in the Appalachian foothills of West Virginia came across a hidden blueberry patch tucked deep inside thick woodland. The area already had a history tied to Bigfoot reports. While moving along a faint animal trail that opened into the clearing, 3 heavy impacts suddenly shook the ground beneath his feet. No wildlife was visible, yet large footprints were clearly pressed into the soil nearby. The hiker now intends to return to the location with better equipment, hoping to find additional clues about whatever may be roaming the area. The impressions were firmly embedded in the ground. The hiker has since said he plans to return equipped with proper tools and casting material to gather additional evidence from the site. Very little background information is available about this footage. The exact location is unknown, and the identity of the person filming hasn't been confirmed. What is clear is that he was simply out on a hike, casually recording his surroundings. The video starts out uneventful, showing calm scenery and the landscape around him, but something massive appears to be quietly present farther off. As he shifts position, the camera briefly picks up a dark, fur-covered figure moving through the valley behind him. The man seems unaware that anything is there and continues filming and walking as normal. He later explained that he didn't notice anything unusual until watching the video again afterward. When the footage is slowed and examined more closely, the shape looks similar to a Sasquatch: dark hair, a thick build, and broad shoulders. While the distance makes precise height hard to determine, the figure appears significantly taller than the person recording.